Most of you know TD Jakes. He has some of the most hard-hitting, inspirational, motivational messages that when you listen to them, they kind of cool your nerves and they get you inspired in one way or the other. Now, after hearing news that he has been involved with Puff Daddy, it's shaking some of his followers. And some are still in disbelief that no, man, TD Jakes can't do something like that. There's no way he could have done such with Puff Daddy. Okay, if in case you're hearing this for the first time, Puff Daddy is being accused of having done this to almost all the young and upcoming R&B hip-hop artists in America. And the way he does this, he uses the very same formula that some prominent African prophets use on their spiritual sons. Puff Daddy has a tendency of organizing big parties, and he will invite all these young and upcoming artists. Of course, they'll run. They'll not say no because they want the exposure, they want the connections. At the parties, Puff Daddy spikes all their drinks. And the reason why he spikes all their drinks is so that they can black out. And when they black out, he does the Sodom and Gomorrah style with all of them. So in this case, these young fellas are not volunteering, or they are not saying, oh yes, P. Diddy, do it with me. They are just being taken advantage of when they are unconscious. And Puff Daddy is not doing this because he finds pleasure in it. It's a ritual. But in America, they might not understand spiritual things. So they'll just frame it as an abuse or whatever terminology that they might decide to use. But it's a ritual. The very same ritual that your prophets undergo in Benin. I'm sure I've told you about the Benin rituals, the submissive rituals that they have to go through when they go for initiation in the land of Benin. Okay, in case you're catching us for the first time, let me just break it down for you so that you can even understand an understanding of what I'm alluding to. All African prophets, for them to have this little so-called spirit of seeing events that unfolded in someone's life, they have to go through a ritual. And these rituals happen in Benin. In Benin, there are godfathers. These godfathers will welcome you in their land. And when you go visit them, seeking this power, these dark spirits, they'll give you an entire process that you have to go through so that you can acquire this power, so that you can acquire the so-called fame that you are desperately seeking, the connections, the riches, the fame, etc., etc. So when you get to the land, the initial step, the initial ritual that you have to perform is called the submissive ritual, whereby they lock you up in a dark room for 3 consecutive nights, not wearing anything. And there's a reason why they make sure that you don't wear anything, because something will be about to go down, which is more or less the same as the very same format that P. Diddy used. But in the case of P. Diddy, it will be like a party whereby people are invited, but people are tricked, people are spiked, and people black out. And P. Diddy takes advantage of them. And P. Diddy does the ritual that he has to do to sustain that spirit that he also inherited from wherever, from whoever. In the case of African prophets, they are not tricked, they are not trapped, they are not spiked. They voluntarily board a flight and go to Benin. And they are very much aware of what is about to happen. They sign up for it. So in these dark rooms, the godfathers will be visiting them in all these 3 days. And when they visit them, they perform rituals. And the main ritual that they perform is the very same ritual that P. Diddy performs with these young artists. In the case of African prophets, they will be serviced. They will be picking up the soap. They will be doing the Sodom and Gomorrah kind of style. And the reason why they shut down all the lights is so that these young prophets that go there, and even your senior prophets, will not understand who did it or how many godfathers did it. in those 3 nights. So chances are they could have had an encounter with more than 20 godfathers. But because it's in a dark room, you probably think it was only one godfather who was coming in and out. That is called the submissive ritual. So now let's try to connect the two. The one that happens here in Africa and the one that happens in America. The one that happens in America, it involves trickery. The one that happens in Africa, it has to do with volunteering. Now let's get to the point where we explain the spiritual significance of this particular ritual. I think we've spoken about this so many times. And before I forget, okay, I'll speak about TD Jakes at the end of the video. The spiritual significance of this particular ritual is all centered on the transfer of a spirit. It's all centered on the soul imprinting. It's all centered on the seeding of a particular spirit in the body of a new host. So when your prophets are being subjected to these conditions, when your prophets are receiving this so-called spirit in Benin, they have to receive it through their behinds. The spirit has to be seeded into their system, injected into their system through their behinds, through the Sodom and Gomorrah style. That is the only way the spirit can be transferred from one entity to the other. That's the only way a ritual can be performed. There's no any other way. Any ritual that is diabolic, that's the only way that it is performed. So, when they inherit this spirit, they now have the access to function in the realm of that demonic spirit that is now operating in them, that they have inherited. And this spirit that they would have inherited has demands. And one of its main demands is intercourse. We'll keep on repeating this so that it hits home. I want this to be burned in your subconscious so that you never forget it. Especially for my young sisters that will be listening, that will be watching. Before you ever attempt to sleep with a prophet, know this. Whenever you spread those legs for him to penetrate you, you must know there is some serious spirit, a dangerous spirit, a diabolic spirit that is yet to be transferred into your own system. And when that spirit is transferred into your system, my young sister, there is something that gets taken from you. That's how the ritual is performed. That's how the spiritual transaction is conducted. There has to be a transaction, an exchange of energies, an exchange of these sacred fluids. But the one from the spiritual father is not sacred. It is already contaminated. It is only yours, my sister, that is still sacred, that you are now transferring to him, whilst he transferred to you that vagabond spirit that is only going to torment you for the rest of your life. And when your prophets have performed this particular ritual, when they go through their entire initiation and it's done, and they go back to their countries of origin, there are so many cases that I have recorded. It's just that some of the men who have been abused by their spiritual fathers, they don't want it to be known to the public because some of them are now married. But I have so many records of young pastors who have also been spiked by their spiritual fathers. We have also been taken to events. We have also been taken to dinner. And after the dinner, they have a few drinks. In those drinks, the pastor, the prophet, spike the drink of their spiritual sons. And they will black out. Only to wake up next morning and they are feeling funny. They are feeling pains. Like, no, man. Something was inside me. Something happened last night. I might not know what it is, but something happened. There are so many cases of that nature. So many that I have. But I can't talk about them because the victims, they don't want them to be known. And the reason why they don't want them to be known is because it's embarrassing. Imagine their children listening to that, oh, our father, he went through this. Oh, that's bad. And these spiritual fathers, that went to Benin that will be doing this to their own spiritual sons. They do it deliberately to also do this particular ritual on their spiritual sons, knowing that they will never talk. They will never open their mouth to talk about it because it's embarrassing. How is he going to come out today and say, my spiritual father did this to me? He won't. Because they find it like people will think that I'm also not straight, or people will think that we had an agreement. No one will believe that I was drugged. No one will believe it. But there are so many cases like that. So that is how diabolical this whole system is. That's why I'm always telling you to be very watchful, to be very cautious of who you listen to and who you follow. Now look at T.D. Jakes. He's also now being accused of having been involved with P. Diddy, T.D. Jakes. And there are so many funny pictures of them together that have been doing rounds. But still their followers will still say, no, it's not true. But you can never convince the followers of these men. I have said this before and I'll keep saying it. For you to become as influential, successful as some of these your prophets and your bishops are today, you have to be part of the system. And we all know the system is corrupted. We all know the system has nothing to do with Christ. It has nothing to do with God. It's a parallel system that has its own agenda to divert masses from the cross, to lead masses to hell. The devil operates in this world. The devil rules over the world. And those who have this love for things, for material things, are very vulnerable. But those who seek him in truth and in spirit are the only ones who are safe. So in all your pursuits, my people, be careful what you wish for and be careful what you pursue. As the Bible rightfully puts it, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. All that glitters is not gold. You envy them. You think they are living a fancy lifestyle. Of course they are. You think they are living a peaceful life, but they are not. They are part of a system that is keeping them restless. So I leave this unto you. Before you follow men, listen to the words that come out of his mouth. And before you follow any man, read the Bible, understand the truth, have the foundational truth of the truth, so that you cannot be easily manipulated and misled. The Benin rituals are real. These unholy rituals are real. Your spiritual fathers, the majority of them are part of it. And it's very sad that you have just been recipients of diabolic declarations. Take this, take that, the laying of hands on your head. You have just been shouting like a mogu, I receive. Yes, Papa, the God of my spiritual father, the God of my dad. Till I meet you again on the next episode of the Enlightenment series. Be wise. Think or sink. Learn or perish.